We called it. We called it. We called it. ANC and the DA are looking to partner.
And we got into a lot of trouble for saying this, but during the course of last year, I believe, where we said the ANC DA coalition is probably the best bet for South Africa. The ANC knows how to run a country, run being very loosely defined here, whereas the DA are far more efficient into running a country. So together, they could probably make South Africa better than it already is. Based on what Mbalula was saying over the course of the weekend, it looks like the more obvious coalition in 2024.
So Mbalula is now looking at what the potential opportunities are for a coalition partner. And the options are obvious. He gets the EFF, he could get the PA, he could possibly get the DA. The problem is, ladies and gentlemen, that the EFF are currently showing electoral decline. They are not a party in growth, they are a party in retreat. And so the ANC has to ask itself a fundamental question. If I side with the EFF, I'm siding with a party that is losing popularity, not gaining it. So what do I have as the ANC to gain from partnering with my enemy?
And let us not forget, the EFF is basically a party that the ANC was for the past 3 years, right under Cyril. EWC, all sorts of left-wing ideology emanating from the president, Cyril Ramaphosa, and what do they have to show for it? A declining support in the elections. Like, I do believe the ANC will get 50% or over during the course of next year. Inflation is sort of over, and if they manage to solve load shedding to like stage 2 for a protracted period of time, I don't see why the ANC will go below 50%. That's just my opinion on the matter. Let's see. But should they not, the election for 2029 is going to be a losing case for all parties of that magnitude. The entire left wing of South Africa is going to be on trial in 2029, and they're not going to win. So it doesn't make sense for the ANC to go even more left wing.
So Mbalula had a lot of pertinent comments around Julius Malema. Julius Malema is the biggest puppet in the country. His words, not mine. He says they think that they're going to get 10% of the taking, and that taking would get them into the union building. He says it's a dream. He'd never allow it to happen. He would never allow the ANC to partner with the EFF. If the EFF partners with the ANC, it will have a reverse takeover of the ANC. It would force the old guard out, and they would come in as the new ANC. They would effectively cannibalize it from the way in. Lest we forget, the EFF are incredibly anti-Ramaphosa. They have been very clear that they wish to see Ramaphosa consigned to the dustbin of history, which, to be honest, might not necessarily be a bad thing. The EFF have made it clear that all they want to see is the ANC die. So Mbalula asks the obvious question: why would I partner with a party that wants to destroy my party?
And on top of that, let us not forget the DA is on the record as saying that they would work with the ANC should it come to that. We had John Steenhuisen on this very show talking about the Moonshot Pact, and we asked him, what happens if the numbers just don't line up for the Moonshot Pact? What will you do? And he said, and I quote, he'll do everything in his power to stop the EFF gaining power. The EFF, not the ANC. So what does that mean? It means the DA will partner up with the ANC to prevent the EFF from getting power. And then over the weekend, Julius comes out and says he would love to be part of that Moonshot Pact, but John doesn't read his messages.
If the DA was smart, it would find a role to play for the EFF. Use them to your benefit in order to sideline the ANC. No enemies to the right, remember? But the DA doesn't take that strategy. The DA likes a purity test, and the EFF is anything but pure.
If the ANC goes under 50% next year, we're in for some fireworks. To me, I think the ANC will get over 50%. If load shedding is solved for 3 months, I think that is a big possibility. If they don't get 50% and they get over 45%, the PA can jump in, Good can jump in, ATM can jump in. There is very little in my mind to think that the ANC won't be in power in some way.
The DA has no ambitions of being the ANC, which in itself should be viewed as positive. What that essentially means is that the DA will keep its own brand and keep its own identity inside the ANC. The EFF will not. The EFF will cannibalize it. The biggest benefit we get from the entire merging of those two parties, I can't say merging,
Alliance.
The biggest benefit we get from a coalition between those two parties is that of stability. If the ANC create a government in 2024 with many, many smaller parties, the instability that that will bring with constant collapsing of government would really damage the economy. A coalition between the DA and the ANC, we could at least say would last 5 years, if nothing more. The stability it would bring the country is... What's the words I want? The stability that that would bring the country would be much desired. As Ramon says, the ANC can probably get 50% if it solves load shedding. But we all know that's not going to happen. So the possibility of a coalition is something that does need serious consideration.
I actually think they will solve load shedding.
I don't think they will.
Just for the period of the election. But Byron,
based on the current news, I think it's going to get worse.
But Byron, here's the problem. We know the ANC is captured by various forces, Western NGOs, Chinese interests, Russian interests, and all the rest of it. So therefore, they're not really there for the sovereignty of the country. And the DA is basically a liberal Western party that loves foreign-funded NGOs as well. So if there's an alliance between the ANC and the DA, won't South Africa just be sold off to the highest bidder even more than it currently is? That is the big danger with such an alliance.
That is the big danger. Although, Ramon, let's just end this podcast off by saying, you know what? 2024 is a long time away. And let's face it, there's far more important things for us to worry about. Like SABC cancelling Sieva Delan after 23 years on TV. My man. Now that's news. And that's news that should concern the country.